Good Monday afternoon to you. Welcome to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH. It's a pleasure to be with you and a pleasure to be with my daughter, Bailey Sanchez, Director of Marketing, Sanchez Got Capital Management.
You
Welcome,
just
my
can't
dear.
get rid of me, can you?
I can't get rid of you. I don't want to get rid of you.
Hey, I heard you and Jason talking on Friday about this is your secret plan to pass this on to me. You made me sweat a little bit. Yes, I sweat a little bit, and then I pretended I didn't hear it, and I went about my day.
But honey, I mean, you have been doing radio since you were how old? Were you sitting on my lap?
Like 6, something like that?
No,
Younger?
no. You barely could talk. It was like 3 years old you were.
Hey, it runs in the family apparently since Uncle Dennis, who everyone hears
Yes.
on Monday, used to write, well, I hate to downplay it, jingles in a sense, right? And he was living in Hong Kong writing songs. So I guess it would be making the family proud because I don't have the soccer genes in me. So
Right. No.
that's
soccer
not
genes did
happening.
not fall over this side. Just the radio side, the media and the radio side. Yeah, folks. Bailey literally, she barely could talk. I still remember she would sit in these. She always wore little dresses, beautiful little dresses when she was small. And she would literally sit on my lap when I would do the show from home, and she would sit there and she'd say, "Welcome to the Jon Sanchez Show. Here's my daddy, Jon Sanchez." Yep.
That's how you got your listeners. You're welcome.
Yep. Exactly. That's it. Used to get, you were really good for radio.
Yeah.
Rating results. Really good
bet.
for radio results. I love sitting with you as you're a grown ass woman now and sitting here, and we have so much fun with you. No doubt about it. But yeah, it's someday it's probably be you and Jason and then just you.
Wow, that really makes me sweat.
And then before you know it, you'll be like me and you look back and go, yeah, I've been doing radio for 25 years. So time flies, trust me.
Yeah, it already is. I'm about to have a 3 in front of my age in this next year. Right. I'm not ready for that one. Tell you what.
As long as you don't get the 6, that's when the
I hope I do make it there to get the 6,
right,
though.
Exactly. That's what we all said. Yep, I know. All right. Well, let me tell you what we have lined up for you. Dr. Dennis Sanchez is not able to join us. We just kind of show you a little bit of personal news. So this Saturday was the celebration of life for my father, who passed away, as many of you know, back on June 18th. And we had a absolutely beautiful family gathering in Napa in celebration of his life. And obviously Dennis and his family were there, and our family, etc. And so Dennis is on his way flying back to his home in Atlanta, Georgia today. So that is one of the reasons. Well, Bailey joins us usually on Mondays anyways. But it was a beautiful, beautiful celebration. And again, thanks to all of you for your thoughts and prayers. It was.
Hey, we can thank him for who we are today, to say the least.
You know what, Bailey? It was amazing to sit there and Dennis wrote a song called "The Fisherman." It was just absolutely beautiful. And he asked the audience. There was, I don't know, 75, 80 family members there and friends. And he asked the audience to raise their hand if you are somehow related to the Sanchez family. And it was like probably 80 to 85% of the room. And you think about it, and it all started with your grandfather's, between him and the kids, the grandkids, the great grandkids. And then of course he came from a very large family of 9, brothers and sisters, good solid Catholic family. And it was amazing to look at that and go, it all started with that generation. And here, here's the next ones. And you're right there. And now there's a generation below you with your nieces and nephews and stuff like that. So it's amazing as a 61-year-old man to look back and go, man, oh man, what a family. What a family.
Absolutely. We'll get them all in training. They'll be on the radio.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. We absolutely will. A lot of them listen to the show and stuff. So it's a great family is what it's all about. It's just that was the theme of the weekend. It was all about the family side of things. So yeah, it was beautiful. All right. Well, let me tell you what we do have lined up for you in absence of the AI doctor. We're going to move into obviously something that Bailey and I know a lot about, and that is AI and the world of investing. Okay. So as many of you know, AI is absolutely rewriting the rules of investing. But the question is this: are you prepared for what comes next? So today, what Bailey and I are going to be talking about is we're going to break down artificial intelligence in transforming, or how it transforms the markets, the portfolios, supercharging productivity and creating opportunities that many of you, I'm afraid, and I'm not saying this to criticize, that I'm afraid many of you are missing out on. And Bailey, when I wrote the show tease this morning, I had no idea that we were going to get some very powerful news today, AI related and obviously investing related. And that was NVIDIA, which you can't talk AI without talking NVIDIA. And the president authorized the sale of a certain type of AI chip to China. Now, I don't agree with that. I'll just tell you right from the beginning, I don't agree with it. I don't like to share our technology, but for various reasons, which we won't go into, the president decided to do that. And we saw a huge bump up in NVIDIA price today. Matter of fact, between the regular session, which regular session, we're up about $3.16, but in the after hours, it's tacked on a little over $4 more, now up $7.60, 4.17%, $190 and a penny. So, the reason I'm bringing this up, Bailey, is very simple. I want to really emphasize once again, we talk so much about AI in this show, whether it's, the Monday AI segment or just in general. And I want to make sure everybody is aware of the potential, in our opinion, Jason and I's opinion, of how AI is influencing the world of Wall Street and investing. You were, let's say, how old were you in 99? You were, what, about 3? Yeah. So, okay, that'd have been the time, yeah, that I started in radio. I started in 97 in Bakersfield. So, yeah, I'm right there with that time period. But that's when, we had the dot-com boom, right? And we knew at that point, I mean, we'd never seen anything like it. And we talked a lot on the radio about how it was going to transform our lives and the investing world. And boy, did it ever, right? That was the advent of the internet in that time period. And so now I think if we look back, so that was what, 26 years ago. I think if we look back 26 years from now, when, you'll be running this show, because I'm not doing this in 26 years all this time. I love my show and my career, but I'm not
I'll
going to
put
be
a
doing
stop
it
to it way
26
before
years.
that. Don't you
Yeah,
worry.
exactly. Yeah. You'll be talking about, hey, I remember back in 2024, 2025, how AI was just coming about at that point. And hopefully so many of our listeners and so on and so forth, our clients are already involved with it, but hopefully many of our listeners are involved with it, because especially as you get older, technology is changing so fast. I had this discussion with with a lot of the aunts and the uncles that are in their 80s, at the family gathering this weekend. And a lot of them are not in AI, right? They think they don't understand it's too far gone. But the purpose of the show this afternoon, as Bailey and I go through this, is we're going to be talking about how AI does need to be a part of your portfolio. I don't care what your age is, right? If you are in the stock market, you need to have exposure to this area. And I don't care if it's through a NVIDIA or a Broadcom or a name, an ETF, a mutual fund, something to give you that exposure. Because folks, this is the future, right? This is the future. And as I always joke, Bailey, I'm amazed every morning when I do my stock updates with Ross Mitchell. I talk about, the movers and shakers, and I talk about these names that I've never heard of before. And, the stock is up this, or sometimes they're down, but there's so many new names coming about that are in the AI related sector. It's not just the big boys, the NVIDIAs and the Microsofts and so on and so forth. It's created, as you and I always talked about with Apple, it's created an ecosystem, right? Where so many companies are coming into the marketplace. To me, it's so refreshing and so exciting to have something new like this to talk about. But more importantly, hopefully we can convince many of you to get involved into this area and start making some money with it, right? There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. But again, diversified portfolio, I'm not saying put all your portfolio into it, but to have a portion of your money into AI, if you don't have it now, I really honestly believe you're missing out.
I think as we started talking about AI, a few months ago,
yes,
I had mentioned, I think just the same way when the dot-com era came in and computers and all the things, and people thought they could avoid it because they were not interested in new technology. And when we look back in 20 years at AI and this whole revolution of AI, you won't be able to do life without it. And unfortunately,
no. Barely do it now.
Yeah. And I was going to say, people don't realize how much AI is involved now in their life, regardless if you see it every day or not. It is running the websites that you visit. It is running your technology without you even knowing it. So, I mean, get on board or you're going to get lost, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, purpose of the show is to try to help each and every one of you build your portfolio, build your net worth, and build the life that you want from a financial standpoint. And we firmly in our heart of hearts believe that AI is going to be the way to do it. So we've themed today's show investing in the new AI economy. And so we'll be getting to that momentarily. Very, really excited about this. All right, I'm going to squeeze down what happened today. So today was a day where investors kind of took a deep breath and they went, okay, we came off of last week. Volatile week, a lot of big movements. Didn't look like it at the closing bell each day, but a lot of intraday big movements going on. They come into today and they go, okay, what's my catalyst? Again, as I always tell each and every one of you, we as portfolio managers wake up every day and say, okay, what are the reasons that we want to be in the market for our clients? What are the reasons we want to be out of the market or somewhere in between? And today, Bailey, really felt like one of those days where investors were struggling, trying to come up with a good, valid reason why they wanted to be in the market. We're at the tail end of earnings season. It was fairly light on the news. We had no major economic reports, but there is one thing that of course is lurking, and that is going to be on Wednesday when we get the Fed interest rate decision. Now, let me look at my notes real quick here, see if they updated this. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. No, they did not. What I'm looking for is to see if they updated the odds of the 0.25% rate cut that is expected on Wednesday. I won't waste our time here, but this morning it was, I think, 85, 86%. Some virtual certainty, and even some former Fed governors that used to be voting members were on CNBC this morning. They said the same thing. It's a foregone conclusion that we're going to get a 0.25% cut. What we got to be careful about is we have seen, yields actually bumping up. We saw it again today, even though rates are going to be coming down by the Fed. And there's always that dilemma. So this is, I think, really what we saw today. And again, we finished down, unfortunately, but there wasn't, like I said, any real specific news to bring us down other than, okay, what's going to happen on Wednesday when we get the interest rate cut? We can see a market rally. We can see a market cut or a market decline. What we've tend to see in these last couple of rate cuts is market doesn't really get all that excited, right? We're pretty smart on Wall Street. We already priced that in, but it's all going to come down to the 11:30 press conference when Jerome Powell says, hey, you know what? Here's what we're looking to going forward. Maybe more rate cuts or not. I don't know how much he's going to say. Remember at our last interest rate cut a month or so ago at the last meeting, that's when he came out and said, hey, wait a minute here. Don't count on us cutting rates in December. And now look at it, pretty good odds. So, again, it's really how the investors perceive it. But today was just, like I said, just kind of a bizarre day. Just not a lot of action going on. Market couldn't get any conviction, but it wasn't all that bad. Just a 216 loss on the Dow and a little bit of loss on the NASDAQ and the S&P, which I'll share with you when we come back. All right, we'll hit a few more things. Speaking of which, when we do return, in the meantime, let's turn over to the wonderful Kristen Snow right now, Traffic Center. Hello, Kristen. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on Newstalk 780 KOH with my daughter, Bailey Sanchez. Dr. Dennis Sanchez is traveling, so it's just the two of us. But we're going to be talking AI. Don't forget about that. We're investing in the new AI economy. Again, we're going to bring the investing side of it to the table with you here momentarily. So here's how we finished up. And again, a fairly lackluster day. 216 decline on the Dow, 0.45%. A little smarted a little bit there. 47,739. NASDAQ, though, down just 32 to close at 23,545. S&P gave up 24 points, 0.35%. Finished the day at 6,846. Oil, boy, nice sell off here. $1.23 loss, $58.84 a barrel. $26.80 decline in gold, $4,216.70, and a 3 basis point increase on the 10-year. Yield closed there 4.17%. Like I said, NVIDIA, big mover, especially in the after-hour session. Alphabet was down a bit today, a $7.64 loss, $314.45. Big news, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Netflix, that whole situation. Paramount, Skydance came out of the blue today and said they're going to offer $30 a share for, excuse me. Oh, fighting this cold, Bailey. Sorry. Paramount, Skydance is going to offer $30 a share for Warner Brothers Discovery. We'll see if Netflix comes back and counteracts that, because again they were the winner coming into today, so that caught everybody off guard. Netflix today down about $3.42. Tesla was a little bit weak. They got a downgrade at Morgan Stanley today. Stock down $15.42 to $439.58. Bailey, why don't you talk for just a minute about something, because I need to turn my mic off and get some water. Excuse me.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we will get into AI. I know a client reached out to us last week about using AI and ChatGPT to optimize for your business. This is what I'm good at talking about, so that's what we're going to talk about for a second. He had a bit of a hard time using ChatGPT to recreate his logo for his business. So again, you guys feel free to reach out just as he did. I shot him some tips and on how to optimize it a little bit better, and how to use Canva as well, which is a great tool for optimizing your business logo. It can be super simple. So there's your little tip for the day.
Yeah,
Feel free to
I can't
email
believe
me.
how fast you did that. That was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Shoot me an email, bailey@sanchezgaunt.com. That's BAILEY. So there's your little tip while we filled in for that segment.
I like that. I like that. The AI tip already.
Yeah.
Nicely done. All right. Well, we got a couple minutes before the break, and let's see if my voice can hold up for the next 2 minutes here. So let's get to our topic once again. Investing in the new AI economy, right? Bailey, I think the first point I want to cover is just, as I said at the beginning of the show, just emphasizing to everyone that AI is now driving market leadership, right? So the names that we talk about all the time on this show, names like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Broadcom, right? Those are powering the S&P 500 higher. We're once again finding ourselves in a not as bad as it used to be, where we just had the Magnificent Seven representing, vast majority of the S&P 500's gains, but they are a major, major contributor. And again, these are names that have been around a long time. So why all of a sudden are they driving higher? Because of their exposure, their involvement, their investments, et cetera. In AI, investors, of course, are very confident that they're going to see, reap the results of the NVIDIAs and the Microsofts, et cetera, down the road because of their contribution to the space and their investments and so on and so forth. So that's why you have to have some of these mega cap names in your portfolio. Again, we're talking a diversified portfolio, but you should be considering those names in there. And again, you can get exposure to those via an ETF, a mutual fund, or of course the individual stock names. Now, AI spending, well, get this number, folks, that we dug out for you. AI spending is estimated to exceed $2 trillion by the year 2030. You believe that, Bailey?
I do believe it, but it'll be here before you know it as well. It's creeping up. It's going to take over everything.
Yeah, that is a massive amount of spending, a massive amount. Let's go to our second point. AI tools are changing how investors analyze the market. Boy, isn't that the truth. You as a retail investor, you can now use AI platforms for charting, pattern recognition, real-time alerts. Those are, of course, normally reserved for those of us that do this for a living, right? AI reduces emotional trading by enforcing a data-first decision-making. It's the old adage, Bailey, where, again, you need to learn prompts, you need to learn what to ask AI, and so on and so forth. But I will tell you, because, again, I experiment with this a lot, it is not perfect by any means, right? It's not going to predict what the next move is of your favorite investment. But I want to focus it more so in on the charting and the pattern recognition, et cetera. You can literally take a chart, right? You hear us talk a lot about technical analysis, right? That's where we're analyzing charts of what a stock or the market, et cetera, is going to do. You can literally take a chart, put it into your favorite AI engine, and it will analyze and say, oh, this is going on or that's going on. It is very accurate in my experience with that. But once again, people are starting to now go, oh, I don't need my broker. I don't need my financial advisor. I'm just going to go to AI and let them choose. Don't do that, at least yet. Don't do that, because especially those of us that have been doing this a long time, we bring a lot of experience and knowledge and things that AI is still new. You got to remember, this thing is it's just starting to walk, right? If you use a baby analogy, Bailey, it's just now a toddler, right? It's just starting to learn and talk and so on and so forth. And so can it help you and kind of get you, those of you that self-manage your money, can it help you kind of get the ball rolling? The answer is yes. But at this point yet, please do not rely upon it solely for your investment decision.
And that was something I was going to mention to you as well, is that, I was rolling through kind of the top AI things that have happened with investing this week. And it says that AI is helping build better portfolios, helping you kind of analyze the markets. And not that I'm an expert in any means, nor am I advising anybody to do this,
Right.
to just build your portfolio, but putting out the tip to even the simplest of things that I build on the marketing side of things, it will still come back with false data sometimes. And I have found myself, putting that data out and realizing, whoa, you need to take a step back, realize it's not always correct. This is new and growing. So I'm sure it does help people kind of get a little bit of a base built up for what to look for and what portfolios you may want to put together, but not relying solely on that source.
Absolutely. It is still just nothing more than a tool in all aspects, right? It's not the holy grail to everything. And what Bailey's referring to is a term you'll hear a lot about. It's called hallucinations, right? Where it will just go off and create something out of the blue.
Yes.
The programmers are still trying to figure out how and why it does it. But just like Bailey we could give you so many examples of how we see, AI hallucinating, and everybody, everybody does it. And so it can literally hallucinate and say, oh, go add 20% of your portfolio to XYZ stock or mutual fund or ETF. And it may not have any valid reason for that. So,
and I'd like to advise too. I really like when I'm building out data to put out on, social or whatever it is, when it gives you links to real articles that people have written, it will cite those sources. So always keep an eye out for that. If it is advising you on something, look for cited sources so you can actually go check that it's real data and it's not hallucinating and creating something that's not actually there.
Great advice. Great advice. All right, we'll continue our discussion investing in the new AI economy. Let's turn it over to Jack Saban for news, traffic, and weather. Back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with my daughter Bailey Sanchez. We're talking about AI in relation to the economy, the markets you're investing. All right, once again today, finished down 216 on the Dow, lost 32 on the NASDAQ, and a 24-point give up on the S&P 500. Well, I told you at the beginning of the show, NVIDIA moving very strongly in the after-hour session after it was announced that the president has agreed to allow NVIDIA to sell some of their specific type of chip, the H200. So some more details just came about during the break that I want to share with you because it is driving the market, the stock on this news. Let me give you a fresh quote in the after hour session. So right now, NVIDIA is up $3.63, 1.96% to $189.18 in the after hours. Regular session up $3.14, $185.55. This is interesting. I don't like it. I don't like it. But here's the deal. The president's going to allow NVIDIA to ship H200 products to China. This is, again, not the most latest chip, AI chip, but still a very powerful one. He's approved the deal in return for the U.S. getting a 25% cut. President said China's Xi responded positively to the proposal. I bet he did. The policy will, quote, support American jobs, strengthen U.S. manufacturing, and benefit taxpayers, Trump wrote. The Department of Commerce is finalizing the details, and the same approach will apply to AMD, Intel, and other great American companies. Both NVIDIA and chip rivals AMD agreed in August to share 15% of the revenue from China chips with the U.S. government, but around the same time, China reportedly warned companies against using the H20 AI chips that NVIDIA designed especially for the country. H200 is a higher grade chip than the H20, but not the company's top-of-the-line product, as I said. How do you like that, Bailey? Is it worth our national security? And
I was just going to say, with the entire technology race that we always talk
that we're already
about,
losing, by the way.
right?
Well, I shouldn't say we're almost losing to China, and
I was
now we're
watching
giving them our best companies chips for money. Once again,
I was just
it's all
watching a
about the money.
documentary the other day with Marco Rubio was in it and talking about how terrified he is of China
Yes.
beating us in this technology race. And so I know it just came out, but why do you think truly why he would do this and allow this?
He says, here's my opinion. He says it's for the money. Okay. We're talking cents, right? Compared to other revenue sources for the government. But I think it's a manipulation tool with President Xi of China that he can use it as another bartering mechanism, that when he wants something from China, he can go, hey, remember, I let you buy the H200 chips and I can stop you from buying them just with a flick of my pen. So I think it's a negotiation tool for something down the road. I don't care what it is. I don't care about the money. I do not like the idea of our American technology falling in the hands of a communist country. I promise you, young lady, it will come back to bite us in the you-know-what. I promise you it will. It always does.
Of all things, giving away
Of
our
all
technology.
things, yeah. We're talking AI, so here it is, folks. Here it is. I'll leave it at that. There's my opinion. All right, so let's recap what we've talked about so far. So AI, again, is now driving market leadership, right? The big old cap names, the Mag 7, whatever you want to call them. We got the names of the NVIDIA, Microsoft, Broadcom, et cetera, powering the S&P 500 higher. That's one big benefit right now of AI in relation to your portfolio. AI spending, again, is estimated to exceed $2 trillion annually by 2030. Of course, feeling earnings growth across multiple sectors. Like I said earlier, and you've heard me say it many times, so many young companies coming about right now that are AI, that were created because of AI and their aspects into the business. Number two, AI tools are changing how investors analyze the market. We touched on how you as the retail investor can now use AI for charting, pattern recognition, real-time alerts, etc. Things that really at one time were reserved just for those of us on Wall Street. One final point, and Bailey, you brought this up. You told me I forgot to mention, and I think you're absolutely right. AI reduces emotional trading by enforcing data-first decision-making, right? We all know that emotions can be the absolute worst enemy of an investor, especially if you're managing your own money. And again, if you use AI correctly, you can set parameters and basically guardrails, as we like to call them, saying, all right, if the stock does this, I'm going to do that. If the stock does that, I'm going to do this, that type of thing, which most people have no discipline when it comes to that.
Yeah, I've seen it with a lot of people who are close to me. They have a hard time getting out of the market if they're day trading when they see that rising. And it's hard to watch on the back end too.
Yes, it is. It is. All right, let's go to our third point of how AI is impacting investing, and that is AI's role in predicting economic trends. The models, again, remember, here's what I want everybody to remember as we continue to go through this. AI is just an infant, right? It just got out of the crib. It's just starting to walk right now. So AI models, they're very, very young. As time goes on, they're going to get better and better and better. So the point, models are now tracking consumer spending. They're tracking inflation signals, corporate earnings. They're doing revisions faster than any analyst out there can. That is why you're seeing the likes of many of the major Wall Street banks going, we're not even hiring junior analysts anymore because now AI does the work, right? What do we need a Harvard MBA for that, that's coming right out of college with no experience? AI's already got more experience, and AI can do the job of 5, 10, 20 of these junior bankers. That's a big problem, but
I
that's the
think
facts.
it's a good thing to reflect on too, though, as we usually talk about the solopreneur or business owner.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking about opening a business, again, not to fully rely on it, but ask AI what the trends have done in the last, say, 20 years in that
Absolutely.
said business. And you can at least get a general idea of if it's a good idea to open said business or
Yes,
to maybe steer away from it and
that's right.
what
That's right.
consumers have reacted to that business.
You bring up a great point. I want to throw this in. I'm going to deviate off the topic just a little bit. And Bailey, this is where, my AI knows me very well. It knows my businesses. It knows me. I feel very personally, and so on and so forth. It now is so comfortable with me that a few weeks ago I was playing around with a business plan on something, and it essentially told me, "You're an idiot. Don't do it." And I'm like, yeah, it was the first time it ever really went against me. Usually it's very, very encouraging,
Well, they said they were
but
going to implement that where it'd be
yep,
less encouraging.
yep. But my buddy Hermano, who I call my AI agent, he came back and said, "No, you're absolutely doing this wrong." And he said, "No disrespect to you." And after looking at his reasoning, he was 100% right. So
I think it's a
again,
smart implementation that they made on that
yes,
because it has
yes,
led
I
to
agree.
much darker sides of things as
Hmm.
well that we won't touch on here. But I think it's smart. It's very smart because in my general opinion, I mean, there would have to be a way in the future if you're solely relying on AI's opinions and always encouraging you to do something to come back maybe with lawsuits in some form or
Oh, they've
fashion.
tried. Yep.
Uh,
Well, unfortunately, the suicide side, right?
well,
The
that's what I
the
was
young
going to
people.
talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Yeah, they've said a lot of kids
yes,
have listened to it and it encouraged them no matter what they
yep,
said to it. And it's a very
yep.
sad and dark side of
It
that
is. It
technology.
really is. Yeah. Nothing does not have negatives. That's for sure. All right. So yeah. So it's starting to get a personality. The more you use it, the more it gets to know you, and it won't be afraid to tell you, "Hey, you're right. You're wrong." So I love that. All right. So let's go now. Our fourth point: AI inside your portfolio. So if you look at companies that are integrating AI into their business models, they're seeing much higher margins and productivity gains. Now, we can see this in the earnings numbers, right? Really simple, folks. You got two forms of earnings when it comes to a publicly traded company that we as investors look at. You got top line revenue, right? Gross revenue. And then we have bottom line, which is earnings per share. We should always do a comparison for the last quarter, the last half a year, the last year. And you can see this, Bailey, that the numbers for many, many companies are accelerating on the bottom line. On the top line also, but all I care about is the bottom line. You can always increase gross revenue by having a big sale or something, right? To make it really simple. But the bottom line is the bottom line. And we're seeing growth on the earnings per share of many of the Fortune 500 companies that are just now starting to implement AI. Why? Headcount reduction, right? The biggest expense of any business is payroll. So if they're able to reduce those number of people, that's in most cases an immediate impact. That is again just in the beginning stages, and that's one of the things you want to look at as you start to put AI related names in your portfolio is who's on the profitability growth spur at this point, because again it's all brand new at this point. So that's something you want to continue to look at. What's the earnings per share growth? You should always be doing that. The other point I want to make under AI inside the portfolio is the picks and shovels, as we like to call it, right? That's where you're not looking at the chat GPTs, which is not publicly traded, or Google or some of these others, but you're going deeper, right? You're looking at the picks and shovels, a term that we haven't used since the gold rush. And that's where you go, okay, what about the companies that are building the data centers? What about the cloud infrastructure, the cybersecurity, the power grid upgrades, the utility companies, right? That's what we call the picks and shovels of AI. And that's a whole nother area of investing that many people, again, are not even paying attention to.
Do you think this is going to be a bubble though, right? You have your first people ahead in the race, your
Mm-hmm.
Nvidias, right? They're building all these things. It sounds exciting to everyone because it's not a normal thing to have these big data centers. But in 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, it's just going to be another upgrade
Mm-hmm.
within the business. So it's
Correct.
almost like not to give investment advice by any means, but it does seem like there's only a short period of time where these big, data centers are being built and it drives up the stock price. It will only create that excitement for so long until this becomes the norm.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Jason and I joke, these data centers could potentially be nothing more than 4 concrete walls that are sitting empty in 5 years because technology is changing so fast, right? It's who knows where it'll be at that point. Will they need data centers at that point? Who knows? I mean,
it's very time sensitive investments.
Very much so. But in the meantime, we've got to have them. You can't run these AI engines without the data centers at all. So, yep, it's just something. It's time evolves. You'll have a lot of winners, and you'll have a lot of losers, and that's the exciting part about new technology. We saw it again in the .com era. So good stuff. All right, we'll continue on our discussion. Let's wrap it up with Kristen Snow right now, Traffic Center. Kristen, welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with my daughter Bailey Sanchez. Bailey, why don't you, so I can save my voice here, tell everybody how they can learn more about us and get a hold of us and watch us and listen to us, etc.
Make sure you listen to any of our episodes, obviously live here on News Talk 780. You can go back and listen to any episodes we have on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts. You can see our faces on there while we're recording the show. Any social media channels as well. We really like to keep those up to date with some educational material. The Jon Sanchez Show and Sanchez Gone to Capital Management. So go look us up on there, and then you can share the episodes with your friends and keep us rolling so we can put out some more educational content for you.
Absolutely. Great job. Thank you. All right, we're going back to investing in the new AI economy. So now, Bailey, let's move on to our next point. We talked about AI inside your portfolio, the picks and shovels. I love that term. Let's go to number 5, which AI is creating a new class of solopreneur investors. We got to do this one in memory of Uncle Dennis, since he's not with us today. Take that one away.
I feel like we talk about this every Monday, but there's always something new to add to it. I think it's going to create, obviously, this growing class of, the American dream, creating your own business. We're so blessed to have that opportunity. And hopefully with it enabling more businesses to be created, you'll have some bigger ones that might end up on the stock exchange one day. So it's creating this whole class of new entrepreneurs, which is so important. And hopefully, my fingers crossed that it'll start being integrated into school system, or at least college a little bit more as well, teaching our youth to be entrepreneurs, no matter how small or big that looks like.
That's right. And again, I'm gonna be a Debbie Downer and just remind everybody again, my personal unemployment prediction is we're going to be at a steady 8 to 10% unemployment rate from our almost 3% now in the next few years as AI takes jobs away. You have to become creative. The familypreneur, bringing the whole family in the creation of the AI driven business, or as Bailey said, the solopreneur side of things. Folks, it is easier than you can even imagine to do it with AI. You just got to learn it, and we have the tools to help you do it. We'll get you one of Dennis's courses, that type of thing.
And on that topic, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. I know we talked about it off air the other day, not saying we're doing it or not doing it, but we're looking at any, events for 2026 that might be useful for clients. If anyone would be interested in some sort of workshop for a day, for an afternoon, would you be interested in seeing an AI-driven business plan or how to build out your business? Get some tools that would help you. Let us know. Again, shoot us an email. You can shoot it to the office, directly to me, Bailey@sanchezgaunt.com, and give us your ideas, because we'd love to put something on the books for 2026 to help you guys a little bit.
Let's do it. Let's start off with a webinar.
I love that idea.
Show people how easy you and I and Dennis and Jason, how we can create a business in a matter of an hour with AI.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, shoot us your ideas. Please let us know if you're interested.
All right, Bailey@sanchezgaunt.com. I love that. Good job. No wonder you're the marketing manager, right? You're always thinking ahead. All right, last thing that Bailey and I want to mention is how AI can impact jobs in the economy. Well, we just for next year, and we just talked about the job side of things. I think we'll start to see unemployment edge up next year, but at the same time, you're going to see companies become more profitable, which will help out the earnings per share, which should help out their stock price, right? So there's the positive side of things. As far as the economic side of things, folks, I was telling a client today in an account review, I am so bullish on 2026, and we'll do a couple shows before the year ends on our outlook, but I am so bullish, Bailey, for 2026. I think we're going to get into a very nice interest rate declining environment, which is always positive for equities. The declining interest rate environment is going to be very positive for real estate. I think 2026 is going to be a great year. We'll have some outliers, some things that'll surprise us, but overall, I'm very bullish about 2026. Can't wait for the calendar to flip. We got a lot of great things going on at the firm and on the show, and of course with all of you. So I had so much fun with you today.
I did too.
You're so beautiful. I love you.
With that being a reminder, come in for your portfolio review before 2026 comes in. We've got big things coming.
I like it. I love you. Thanks,
I love
everybody.
you too.
God bless. See you tomorrow.
Jon Sanchez is a registered investment advisor, and the opinions expressed by Sanchez Gaunt Capital Management, LLC on this show are their own and do not reflect the opinions of News Talk 780 or its parent company, Cumulus Media. All statements and opinions expressed are based upon information considered reliable, although it should not be relied upon as such. Any statements or opinions are subject to change without notice. Information presented is for educational purposes only and does not intend to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Investments involve risk and, unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for any individual. Listeners are encouraged to seek advice from a qualified tax, legal, or investment advisor to determine whether any information presented may be suitable for their specific situation. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.